How much lighter your life would feel if you stopped carrying battles that were never yours to fight. What if today was the day you laid down the weight and let God lead you to your true destiny? Too many people live stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed. Not because they're weak, but because they're trying to control what only God can handle. Today, I'm calling you to a higher way of living, a way of strength, a way of trust. It's time to stop worrying, release your grip, and let the one who knows your end from your beginning take the lead. Worry is not your portion. It was never your inheritance. It is not the signature of a child of the kingdom. It is the evidence of a heart trying to carry a burden it was never built to bear. Worry is not strength. It is weakness disguised as control. Worry whispers, if you think harder, if you stress longer, maybe you can change the outcome. But listen to me carefully. If worry had the power to fix it, the problem would have been solved the first night you lost sleep over it. So worry is a thief. It steals your peace, it robs your joy, it drains your energy, and worst of all, it clouds your spiritual vision. You cannot walk forward in faith while dragging the dead weight of worry behind you. Worry is not a solution, it's a signal. It's a flashing light on the dashboard of your soul saying, you are carrying something that belongs in God's hands, not yours. It's an invitation to shift the burden. It's a divine reminder that you were never meant to be the source, the solution, or the savior. God is not impressed by how much you can handle. He is glorified when you trust Him with what you cannot handle. Faith is not pretending there are no problems. Faith is standing in the middle of the storm, fully aware of the waves, fully conscious of the winds, but absolutely convinced that the one who commands the sea is still in control. Worry is the language of fear. Fear says, what if it doesn't work out? What if I lose? What if I fail? But trust is the language of faith. Trust says, even if I don't see the way, God has already made the way. Even if I don't understand, God already has a plan. Even if I feel weak, His strength is made perfect in my weakness. Faith moves mountains. Fear builds them higher. Faith steps out on the water. Fear sinks before it ever leaves the boat. Faith believes in the unseen. Fear is paralyzed by the unknown. You must choose your language carefully because your life will always move in the direction of your dominant confession. Every time you choose to worry, you rehearse defeat. You script a future where God is not powerful enough to intervene. You create a narrative of loss when heaven has written a script of victory. Stop digging deeper graves with your fear. Start planting seeds of faith with your trust. God cannot bless what you refuse to release. He cannot multiply what you insist on hoarding. The longer you hold on to worry, the longer you delay the miracle that's waiting for your surrender. You were made for more than sleepless nights and anxious mornings. You were created to live from a place of peace, to walk with the confidence of someone whose life is anchored in an unshakable God. Today is the day to recognize worry for what it is, a flashing warning, not a worthy response. Lay it down, lift your hands, and let God be God. You are not the Alpha. You are not the Omega. You are not the author of your story. You are the living letter He is writing. Every time you try to control the outcome, you step into a role that was never yours to fill. Every time you insist on steering the ship without instructions from the captain, you crash into shores you were never meant to reach. God never asked you to be the answer. He simply asked you to trust the answer. He simply asks you to trust the answer. Leadership belongs to Him. Rest belongs to you. Peace belongs to you. Joy belongs to you. But as long as you fight for a position you were never designed to hold, you will be worn out by battles you were never anointed to win. Some of us are exhausted not because life is hard, but because we refuse to surrender the pen. We keep grabbing at the script, trying to edit what the author already perfected. We think we know better. We think we can plan it better. We think if we don't handle it, it won't get handled. But let me tell you, when you act like God, you block what only God can bless. When you trust your own limited wisdom, you shrink your life down to the size of your own understanding. And your understanding was never meant to be the ceiling of your destiny. It was meant to be the floor God builds on. It is pride that makes a man think he can oversee tomorrow. It is fear that drives a woman to micromanage outcomes that only God controls. It is insecurity that makes you believe that if you don't intervene, everything will collapse. But listen to me carefully. God was holding the universe together long before you took your first breath. And He will be God long after your temporary challenges have passed. The heavens declare His glory without your help. The oceans roar His majesty without your effort. The mountains stand firm by His word, not your will. If He can hold the stars in place, surely He can hold your life together. Letting go is not losing control. It's returning control to the one who was always in charge. True strength is not found in taking matters into your own hands. True strength is found in placing matters into God's hands and standing firm in peace. Knowing that He who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. Your shoulders were not built to carry the weight of outcomes. Your heart was not created to bear the burden of constant worry. So your mind was not wired to master every mystery. That is God's job. Your job is to walk by faith, not by sight. Your job is to obey when He speaks, to trust when He moves, to rest when He says, "Be still and know that I am God." The sooner you surrender, the sooner you soar. The faster you release control, the faster you receive clarity. Your miracle is not in your striving, it's in your surrender. Step back. Let God step forward. Stop trying to be the Alpha. Stop trying to be the Omega. You are not the beginning and you are not the end. You are the beautiful, powerful, unfolding story of His love and His leadership. Let Him lead. Let Him write. Let Him be God. Surrender is not something that happens once in your life, but something you choose every single day. It's not a one-time declaration. It's a continuous act of yielding, a constant decision to trust that God's wisdom far exceeds your own. When you wake up in the morning, you are presented with a choice, and it's a powerful one. Do you choose to walk in the limitations of your own understanding, or do you surrender to the infinite wisdom of the Creator? Every moment is an opportunity to decide, will I lean on my own knowledge and try to control everything, or will I surrender and trust God's plan, even when I don't understand it? This is where faith comes alive, not in the grand dramatic moments, but in the small everyday choices. The real test of faith is not how you respond to the major decisions in your life. It's how you respond to the seemingly insignificant moments. Can you trust God when the path ahead is unclear? Can you yield to His direction when it feels like you're wandering through a fog? Faith isn't just for the big life-altering decisions. Faith is not just about trusting God when you face a major crisis or a life-changing choice. It's about the little moments, the quiet decisions, the daily steps that lead you to the destiny God has for you. You don't just need faith when you stand at the crossroads of your life. You need it when you're walking through your ordinary days, when you're facing the mundane and the unseen. Faith says, I trust you with the next step, even when I can't see the entire staircase. Real surrender means giving up the need to control every outcome, especially when you don't have the full picture. It's about being willing to step into the unknown, knowing that even in the uncertainty, God is guiding you. The faith that pleases God isn't the kind that demands clarity on every detail, but the kind that trusts God's leadership in the midst of ambiguity. You cannot walk by faith and demand to see the road ahead. You must trust the one who knows the path, even when it's obscured from your sight. When you surrender daily, you choose to stop relying on your own strength, understanding, and control. You choose to rely on God's divine power to direct your steps. It's about trusting that God knows what's best for you, even when you feel lost or uncertain. Trusting Him doesn't mean you won't face challenges or confusion. It means that even in those moments, you will believe that He's at work behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good. This is where true peace comes from. The peace that surpasses understanding. It's the peace that says, even though I don't know what tomorrow holds, I know that I'm not walking alone. Surrendering daily to divine leadership means letting go of the need to manipulate every situation. It's about trusting God's timing, His decisions, and His process. It's acknowledging that His wisdom is far beyond anything you could come up with on your own. When you choose to live in surrender, you allow God to move in your life in ways you never could have imagined. You begin to see the beauty of His leadership unfold in ways that you would never have been able to orchestrate on your own. So each day, make the choice to surrender. Let go of the need to control. Trust God with the small steps and the unseen turns. Even when you can't see the way ahead, trust the one who does. Let God lead and watch as He transforms your ordinary days into extraordinary journeys of faith and victory. Worry blocks your blessing in ways you may not fully realize. It doesn't just make you anxious or restless, it creates a barrier, a wall between you and the breakthrough that God has already prepared for you. That wall of worry stands tall, casting a shadow over your mind and spirit. It clouds your vision, distorting the path that God has designed for you. Instead of seeing the opportunities ahead, you see only obstacles. Instead of hearing the still small voice of God's guidance, you're consumed by the noise of your own fears. The more you focus on what you fear, the less you can see the path that has already been laid out for you by a faithful God. Your breakthrough is right there, just beyond that fog. But the worry keeps you stuck in a place of confusion and fear. The true danger of worry, however, is that it steals your energy, your most valuable resource. Worry drains you. It takes away your peace, your joy, and your ability to think clearly. Worry keeps you on edge, emotionally exhausted, and spiritually depleted. It's like carrying a heavy burden that was never meant to be yours. And while you're weighed down by this burden, God is actively working in the background to bring about the change you've been praying for, the breakthrough you've been waiting for. He's moving in your favor, but worry keeps you distracted, paralyzed, and unable to move in the direction He's calling you to. You are caught up in the noise of the storm, missing the whisper of His direction. Fear, the twin of worry, binds the hands of faith. Faith is a powerful force. It's the key that unlocks the doors of God's promises in your life. But when fear takes hold, it binds you, keeping your hands tied and preventing you from acting in faith. Fear tells you that things won't work out, that you're not enough, that the circumstances are too difficult. But faith tells you that the God who started the work in you is faithful to complete it. Fear says no, while faith says yes. Fear sees a mountain too high to climb, while faith sees a summit just waiting to be conquered. Fear sees what's wrong, but faith sees what's possible. And when you let worry and fear consume you, you allow those feelings to choke the power of faith in your life. Your miracle, your breakthrough is not waiting for you to work harder, to try more strategies, or to put in more effort. It's waiting for you to trust more. Trust that God is not only able, but also willing to take care of every detail in your life. Trust that His plan is greater than your understanding. Trust that when you release control and stop trying to make things happen in your own strength, you make room for Him to move. Your miracle is not a product of your effort. It is a result of your surrender. It's time to lay it down. Lay down your worry. Lay down your fear. Lay down your need to control the outcome. Clear the way for God's blessing to flow freely into your life. You cannot experience the fullness of what God has for you when you are constantly looking over your shoulder, anxious about what could go wrong. You cannot receive the abundance He has planned for you when you're holding on tightly to your doubts and insecurities. Trust that God is working everything together for your good. The more you release, the more you open yourself up to receive, the more you stop worrying, the more you step into the blessings that have been waiting for you all along. It's time to let go and let God take the lead. Your breakthrough is just on the other side of your faith. Let go of the worry and allow God to lead you into the future He has already prepared for you. When you trust Him completely, the blessings you've been praying for will flow freely. God's timing is a powerful force, working behind the scenes of our lives in ways we often can't comprehend in the moment. Many of us struggle with delays and detours, questioning why things aren't happening as quickly as we would like. We see open doors that seem to remain closed and dreams that seem to be taking forever to materialize. It's easy to feel frustrated, to feel like we're stuck or that we're being overlooked. But the truth is, God's timing is always perfect, even when we don't see it. When you face delays, it's tempting to think that you're being held back or that things are moving too slowly. But let me remind you of this. God is not bound by time. What seems like a delay in your eyes may actually be a setup for something greater that you cannot yet see. When God is silent or when things seem to stall, He is often working behind the scenes, orchestrating events, aligning people, and refining circumstances so that when His blessing arrives, it is not only timely, but also perfect in every way. You might feel like you've reached a dead end, but God specializes in turning what looks like a dead end into a divine intersection. Those moments of apparent failure or roadblocks are actually setups for what He's about to do in your life. He's weaving your story in such a way that every twist, every turn, and even every setback has a purpose. If you find yourself stuck at a detour, know that it's not an accident. It is God's divine direction leading you exactly where you need to be. Often we focus on the destination, but God is more concerned about who we become on the journey. The detour is not a setback. It's a part of the preparation process. God's timing is not slow. It's strategic. We may wish things would happen faster, but remember that there's a perfect time for everything under the sun. The right time for the right opportunity. The right time for the right people to come into your life. The right time for your breakthrough. Often we get impatient because we don't see the bigger picture. But God sees it all. He sees the challenges ahead and He knows exactly what needs to be in place for you to succeed. Wisdom is infinite, and His understanding far exceeds ours. When you trust in His timing, you are trusting in a plan that is far superior to any plan you could devise on your own. God's delays are not denials. What He is doing in the waiting season is preparing you for something greater. He's not just preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. Sometimes we're not ready for what God has in store. We think we are, but there are things inside of us that need to be refined, strengthened, or healed before we can fully walk in the fullness of what He's planned. God uses the waiting time to mold our character, sharpen our faith, and increase our capacity. You're not just waiting for your blessing. You're becoming the person who can handle the blessing. Trust His calendar, trust His clock, trust His wisdom. The waiting period is not wasted time. It's a divine opportunity for God to shape and refine you. When the time is right, the doors will open and the blessing will come. Not a moment too soon or too late, but exactly when God knows you are ready to receive it. So don't rush the process. Trust the timing. Embrace the delays, because they are setting the stage for your breakthrough. You are right where God wants you to be, and in His perfect timing, everything will fall into place. Today is your day to stop carrying what was never yours to bear. Today is your day to trade stress for strategy, fear for faith, and worry for worship. Let God lead you. When He leads, He provides. When He guides, He protects. When He directs, He fulfills. You've tried it your way long enough. It's time to let the master builder construct the masterpiece of your life.